if I took your phone out of your hands and threw it out the window, would that make you upset?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting harder and harder, I think, to avoid screen time and video games. And it's so much fun. And we see often with the kids that we work with the behaviors that occur, right, when we have removed access to these highly reinforcing activities.
Or when it powers down. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen many an outburst when video games power down midway.
Absolutely.
You know, the adult equivalent would be like watching the Super Bowl midway and the power goes out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh my God. You know, and I always like to put it in adult perspective, even when we're talking about children, because I think it's really important for clinicians to recognize the perspective.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, well, you got upset when I took the toy away. It's like, well, if I took your phone out of your hands and threw it out the window, would that make you upset?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to look at that. But video games are powerful. And once a variable like this is so embedded in an ecosystem,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any getting rid of it.
I don't think so either. I think that we do have to make really intentional decisions about how we use it in our life. And this goes for me as well. I mean, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is check on my Aura ring, see how I slept, which I know is ridiculous. Like, can't I just feel that in my body? Why do I need this device to tell me that I slept well or not? But I really like that input, that data, looking at that screen. And then I go to the New York Times to Wordle and I play that game. Often before I even get out of bed, right? So I think that it's very pervasive in our lives, and maybe even plugging the phone in away from my bed would probably be a wise environmental arrangement for me to cut back on how often I'm looking at my phone.
It's about balance, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, these are leisure skills, but the addiction part of it, which is what we're looking at, it really comes from these compound schedules of reinforcement that B.F. Skinner studied, right? There's a combination of a variable interval schedule, meaning that you will be reinforced at a varying amount of time, and a variable ratio schedule, which means you will be reinforced for a correct amount of responses. And then there is the combination of those two schedules with an indiscriminable contingency. Well, what does that mean? That means surprise reinforcement peppered throughout the game. And it's those three schedules in combination with token system. You're collecting things in these games. You're given different tokens. You're earning different potions, you're getting different medals. It's a combination of all that really makes these video games very reinforcing and highly addicting.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we used to call the variable ratio the jackpot ratio.
Yes. And I was reminded of gambling is one of the earliest forms that we've seen of this, you know, as a society. And there's interesting research on people with Parkinson's disease who take a drug called levodopa, which increases the amount of dopamine that they have in their brain, because people with Parkinson's disease are suffering from movement disorders because they don't make enough dopamine in their brains. So when these people are taking this drug, that hit from that very exciting surprise reinforcer is so powerful that they are warned that compulsive gambling is a side effect of that medication. So it's really interesting how these games can play into our physiology, in addition to what, of course, Skinner found with these schedules of reinforcement and how that changes the way that we engage in activities and how that changes our behavior throughout any given day and in any activity.
So when we say the variable ratio is like this gambling reinforcer, it's very addictive, and what it is like the slot machines, right? So every time you pull the lever, you don't know if you're going to hit, and you will pull the lever so many times, and then you will hit, and it's a surprise. But that ratio produces the highest, steadiest rate of responding in our science.
Yes.
The variable interval is also producing a high, steady state of responding. And what that means is that us as a species, when we get into the contingencies of all this, it is highly thrilling and fun. I mean, I play Monopoly Go. And I even know the schedules of reinforcement, but it's still that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very interesting about Parkinson's and lack of dopamine and then getting
Yeah.
dopamine. For little kids, a lot of, and I have to take it back to B.F. Skinner, he thought in the future there'd be a lot of learning games, and there are.
Yeah.
But they still have these highly addictive schedules of reinforcement. They also have a variable of consumption, of buying. A lot of these games really have you collecting money and then for working or for achieving in the game, and then you're buying. You're buying new weapons. You're buying, well, real estate and Monopoly. But that can also get you a dopamine hit. But once the dopamine hit physiologically is done, you're left with the lull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is curious, and I think there's a lot of interest in how these games and access to this type of stimuli is affecting the developing brain in children.